to the Catshed Singles Club. I'm Simon Vincent, and if you're watching this video, bearing in mind we're only on episode 3, let's face it, you probably stumbled across it. I'm guessing you were searching for funny videos of cats, funny videos of sheds. Surely they exist. Or maybe trying to download Tinder. If it was one of those 3 you were looking for, I'll be honest with you, this is probably going to be a bit of a letdown. But bear with me. Today, as every week, I'm going to review 5 singles. This week we've got everything from pop to black metal with a little bit of rock and maybe some kind of hip-hoppy rap stuff in there as well. So hopefully there's something in there for everyone. First to the news, and this week we learned what Rihanna's new album Anti sounds like after Tidal accidentally leaked it online. We learned that Will Smith is teaming up with Jazzy Jeff again and doing some tours across the summer. Can that be real? Are we serious? Is that real? Is that real? And we learned that Kanye's going to release his new album, whatever he decides to call it in the end, by live streaming a performance from Madison Square Gardens to theatres across the whole of the world. Oh, and that he likes a finger up the bum. Allegedly. Moving swiftly on. Let's kick off with my first choice. This is Shearwater and the track Radio Silence.
It's sold for a lifeline, sold for a crown, singing the old line down the repeater, and the radio lapses, the radio dies, the sky is a blank screen up in receiver, summon an old sound, rather to life, spin on an axis, fly into pieces, disarray, disarray, yeah. Oh, in disarray, disarray, yeah.
So that was Shearwater and Radio Silence. Who are Shearwater? They are a 5-piece from Austin, Texas. They've been around for about 15 years or so, releasing albums for about the last 10. They're led by a singer called Jonathan Myberg. I'll be honest, I hadn't heard them before. This is the first time I'd heard them. I discovered them on the excellent Drowned in Sound Best New Independent Music e-shot that they send out. If you get the chance, check it out. This track is off Shearwater's new album, Jet Planes and Oxbows. And why did I pick it? Well, first and foremost, it takes 2 minutes for them to get to any vocals at all, and 3.5 minutes to hit a chorus. Who does that nowadays? I mean, that's longer than it takes most pop songs to get in and out. In between all that, there's the perfect mix of ambient guitars and driving drums, shifting dynamics and piano little melodies, all building up to arena-friendly choruses. And they really take their time over their chord changes in the same way that like Pink Floyd used to do, or more recently The War on Drugs, whose 2014 record, Lost in the Dream, was one of my favourite records of that year. And it's pretty difficult to listen to Shearwater without drawing comparisons to them, but I think these guys more than hold their own. They themselves describe their sound as being beautiful and ferocious. For me, the perfect situation to listen to this would be like driving down the motorway in a beat-up Chevy, late afternoon, the sun low in the sky, just feeling like the daddy. If I had to sum it up in 6, I'd go stadium rockers, go full throttle ambience. Moving on to choice 2. Oh, am I really gonna do this? Oh, it's Zayn. It's Zayn!
Seeing the pleasure, nobody but you, body but me, body but us, bodies together. I love to hold you close tonight and always. I love to wake up next to you. So we'll piss off the neighbors in the place that feels the tears, the place to lose your fears, yeah, reckless behavior, a place that is so pure, so dirty and raw. In the bed all day, bed all day, bed all day, fucking and fighting on. It's a paradise.
So look, do I really have to introduce him? One Direction, Perry Edwards, split from both, now going solo, musically, if very notably not in the relationship sense. And look, I've chosen it because, let's face it, you can't get away from this song. It's had 10 million views, the video on YouTube, in one day alone. And look, hey, I'm as interested and open-minded about pop musicians going their own way and doing stuff that's a bit different and a bit unusual. I'm as interested in that as the next guy. So I was more than willing to give this track a go. I've got to be honest with you, musically, it's okay. It could be a Rihanna track if it had a female vocal on it, but as we all know, music isn't just about the tunes. If Bowie and Prince and tons of great creative artists have taught us anything over the years, it's that sometimes a really strong artistic vision can be equally as important in making a great pop career. And certainly we've all been aware for a long time that Zayn was the creative one artistically in One Direction. And that's why I wanted to make sure that I got the video in here, because visually this is a stunning piece of art. Really, genuinely, it is a beautiful looking video to look at. There's some pretty mom-baiting imagery in there, as well as lyrics and language. But hey, that's fine, you know, he's gonna sell probably more records off his looks than his lung power, so all power to him. Will his appeal last that long after the other Directioners have released their own solo stuff, as they inevitably will over the next coming months? I'm not so sure. But hey, this is an interesting debut from Malik, and fair play to the guy. I wish him all the best. Unfortunately, if I had to sum it up in 6, it'd have to be, sorry Zayn, styles will do it better. But moving on and trying desperately to salvage some shred of credibility here, I'm gonna go on to probably my most inaccessible choice of this week. It's gonna be by the Norwegian band Ulver, and this is a track called Cro-Magnosis. So that was Ulver and Cro-Magnosis, and Ulver are one hell of an interesting band. Hailing from Norway, their name means wolves, and they've been described as like folklore-inspired black metal. What? But it's widely accepted their sound now includes far more influences than just that. I chose Cro-Magnosis off their latest record, the name of which is just a bunch of letters, so like look it up. Because it's kind of a rare gem. It's definitely really dark in a kind of Tool or Pucifer kind of a way, but it's also got this like great groove going underneath it that kind of gets really meditative as it goes on. Underneath it all is some amazing percussion, and by the way, check out their single off this record, Moody Sticks, if you like a bit more of that. But then, 6 minutes in, it just evolves into this like Desert Sessions-esque blues jam. You've got the bass running all over the place like an Eskimo's nose. In fact, the only thing that's missing is like either Josh Homme's deep growl or Robert Plant's immigrant song Howl. Yes, it's 9 minutes, but you gotta listen to it the whole way through. It's pretty stunning. Summing it up in 6, it's quite simply the grooviest thing in Corpse Paint. Okay, up next is a track that you could describe as a pop track, you might describe as a rap track. I'm just going to play it to you first, and then I'm going to talk around it. This is Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, and the song is called White Privilege 2. Okay, so that's the second artist we've had on today's show that needs no introduction. I said in my lead-in that you could call this a pop track, you could call it a hip-hop track. Frankly, I've chosen it because I don't think it's very good at being either of those two things. I don't even think it's really about Macklemore himself, the artist, you know, when it gets into its stride and when it's doing what it does well. The reason I chose this track is because it is all about the message. The selection I played just then comes in at around 4 minutes into the song, and it's really here that after having spent the previous 4 minutes talking about himself a lot, Macklemore's vocal and lyric really comes to the fore, and the song starts to hit its stride. You heard in there some pretty provocative opinions. This is where Haggerty, Macklemore, really starts to explore the wider issues around race, particularly in the US. You know, he addresses the issue of white police officers in cases involving black youths, which is a subject that I think we've all been challenged and moved and angered by. And he talks about how he feels when he's demonstrating. Can he demonstrate as a white person at a Black Lives Matter march? The important thing for me is that he does it all from a standpoint of being from a very human perspective. He says in that clip there that, you know, some of us are scared, some of us are confused, and by us I mean people of all races, and I think he means people of all races. Some of us are scared, some of us are confused, and crucially, a lot of us are actually just really passive. Towards the end of the track, the guest vocalist Jamila Woods talks about how silence is a luxury. And I think no matter what you think about Macklemore himself as an artist, no matter what you think about a white artist using a traditionally black style of music to talk about racial injustice, the important thing about this track is that it isn't silence. It's getting people talking. And that can only be a good thing. To be clear, at 9 minutes with no hooks, this is not a good pop song. Macklemore is not a great rapper. But this song is doing what all great art should do. It's getting people like me talking. It should be getting people like you talking. And so look, I'm not going to try and sum this up in 6 words. I think the message of the song is bigger than that. What I would do is just urge you to click on the link in the description below and make sure that you check out the full song for yourself. So once again, that's Macklemore and Ryan Lewis featuring Jamila Woods in the song White Privilege 2. Finally, we come to my spotlight choice for this week. Every week I choose a track that isn't necessarily new, but most of the time it's new to me. Hopefully it's new to you. This week I've actually gone for a song that's really kind of old, and it's one that I've known for a long time. It's by a band called Minus the Bear. It's Pachuca Sunrise. Have a little listen and then I'll explain why I've gone with it. So why choose a song that I first heard 10 years ago when a good friend of mine first introduced me to this little known band called Minus the Bear and their album Menos el Oso? Well, because this week that very same friend and I went down to the Electric Ballroom in Camden and saw them play said album start to finish on the 10th anniversary of its release, and it was a delight. Interestingly though, the venue was like half to maybe 2/3 full, and this got me to thinking that more people need to hear about this amazing Seattle 5-piece. So as you heard in that little snippet, these guys have got a pretty idiosyncratic style, part glitchy electronica, part up-tempo disco funk, all time signature tripping rock and roll. And the key to their success is really the guitar player Dave Knudsen, who first made his name with the hardcore band Botch. Since then, he's been responsible for some of the most individual, quirky guitar lines of the last decade, and watching him play live is like seeing guitar playing in glorious Technicolor. I mean, at one point, the guy's on the floor playing his pedals with his hands. That's the kind of sorcery we're dealing with here. Another unexpected live treat from Thursday night was the performance of their new young drummer, Kiefer, who Looks like he had to put down his dummy to pick up his sticks and come on stage, but played these highly technical, incredibly regimented drum tracks with apparent abandon. If you're looking for a place to start with Minus the Bear, Pachuca Sunrise is as good a place to start as any. It opens with this guitar line that sounds like moonlight shimmering on the ocean, builds to delicious harmonies and syncopated stabs, and plays you out with a sample that feels like stars fading with the morning sunlight. In 6 words, glitchy pop rock to reminisce to. That was Minus the Bear, Pachuca Sunrise, and that was my spotlight choice for this week. So that's it for this week. Join me next week when, fates permitting, I will be back with 5 more tracks for you. Until then, have an amazing week, listen to loads of great music. If you liked what you heard today, please subscribe and let me know in the comments. Until then, take care.